Hi, this is Lara from Forex Info USA with your free daily US dollar index Elliott wave analysis for the New York trading session dated Wednesday the 7th of April. And I'm doing this video now 4.5 hours after New York has closed trading on the 7th. I'm going to start this analysis with a chart just going back to 2001 today, so not as far back as the previous videos. If you want to look at a more historical analysis which looks at cycle degree waves, have a look at yesterday's and the day before's videos. So this analysis sees us with cycle degree wave B ending down here. Thereafter, at primary degree, we have a 5 waves up for a first wave, a 3 waves down for wave 2, which was a pretty deep correction, and we're working on the early stages of primary wave 3 up. We're still not even at the end of intermediate wave 1 of that primary third wave. Because wave 1 at primary degree was 18.7 long, we could therefore expect primary wave 3 to be at least as long as 1. It's highly likely that that will take the dollar up to 92.97 in the next few months, or it's also likely that wave 3 will be 1.618 the length of wave 1, which would take the dollar up to about 104.58. I've drawn these maroon trend lines here on primary degree wave 2. From the start of A to the end of B, I've drawn this trend line and created a parallel copy and placed it on the low of A. This pretty much contained primary wave 2 with some overthrows as it came towards its end down here. Thereafter, we've got a really clean, obvious breakout of that trend channel that gives us a strong indication that that second wave is over and our third wave at primary degree is definitely underway. So I'm taking you now to my regular daily chart for the dollar index analysis, and here is our recent rises that I've got labelled as the early stages of primary wave 3, with the blue or minor 1, 2, 3, 4 complete, and we're working on the early stages of a blue minor fifth wave. Because we have a throw over in the fourth wave position, we may very well see a throw over in the fifth wave position on the opposite side of the trend channel. Doesn't have to be so, but it could be likely. Within this fifth wave, we've got our first leg complete and a fairly deep correction for the second wave, and we're working on the early stages of a third wave up. And we may be due for a small correction along the way in the next little while for the dollar. So far, upwards movement is really nicely contained in this parallel trend channel, and that's why I'm simply going to favour this interpretation. I am aware that there are bearish interpretations that see minor wave 5, which has ended here. However, until I see a full day's bar opening and closing below the lower edge of this trend channel, I'm going to go with this main wave count. And just be aware that there are other alternatives. This trend channeling technique is Elliott's channeling technique, and it works very, very well on the dollar, especially at blue minor degree and degrees higher than minor. I've drawn it with a trend line from the high of 1 to the high of 3 and placing a parallel copy on the low of 2. Like I said, when I see a full bar below the lower edge of this parallel trend channel, that's when we'll have a good indication that wave 5 blue will be over, and the next series of downwards corrective movements will then be underway, but we're not there yet. So far, the behaviour of the dollar is conforming really well to this wave count. So looking at it on an hourly chart, here's the end of that first leg up of this blue minor fifth wave with a really strong 3-wave look in our second wave position, exactly as we would expect to see. We had this corrective movement very nicely contained in a parallel trend channel. Again, this is Elliott's channeling technique, and it works pretty well, reasonably well, at the hourly level for the dollar. I've drawn this with a trend line from the beginning of A to the end of B and placing a parallel copy. I placed it on this low here labelled A. We've had some pretty good movement outside of this trend channel, these pink lines on the upside indicating that wave 2 pink was over and wave 3 pink should now be underway. I'd like to put a little question mark about has wave 1 green ended here. I had an upside target. I did say yesterday that we should be having some more upwards movement for the dollar, and I had an upside target of 81.95, so a little bit further up here. So far it's not there yet. It's fallen 0.25 short of that target. There is still room on the upside for further movement for the dollar, so wave 1 green, we could move this label in the next couple of days further up and we may even possibly be seeing the very beginning stages of a diagonal in the fifth wave position. It remains to be seen if that one pans out, however. A little too early to say. While price remains very firmly contained in this green trend channel, I'm not going to consider finally that an end to wave 1 is here and the beginning of wave 2 correction down is underway. That will be the next move for the dollar from wherever wave 1 green ends up. So when we see some movement below this lower green line on the downside for the dollar, that's when we know wave 1 is over and wave 2 is underway. We still could possibly have it move closer to my target, about 81.95. We'll see. So far, the ratios between wave 5 orange, if it ended here, and wave 3 and wave 1. Wave 3 and wave 1 are just 0.04 different in length, with wave 3 being slightly longer. And wave 5, if it has ended here, is really close to half of wave 3. So no actual Fibonacci ratios between them. That's one reason why I'd like to see a little bit more upwards movement and possibly a better ratio between those three waves within wave 1 green. So we could be seeing a little bit more upwards movement for the dollar. I'm using those trend channeling techniques really strongly to tell me when one wave is over and the next one is underway. It does work very, very well on daily charts. It's less useful on hourly charts. It's just a reasonable indication. So I'm calling for the possibility of a little bit more upwards movement for the dollar today towards that target, 81.95. Thereafter, we're due for a correction. Once I have an end to wave 1 green, I'll calculate a downwards target for wave 2. We're not there yet. That's all from me with your dollar index analysis. If you would like in-depth Elliott wave analysis every day for the euro dollar and or the pound dollar, you'll find it on my site. I hope you're having an awesome day trading, and as always, may all your trades be profitable.